Hey guys, thank you so much for stopping by the garden today. I just wanted to show you the next step in my garden. So we've been growing a lot and we're into the blooming fruiting stage right now. So what I start to do is switch off to my bloom nutrients, which has lower nitrogen, higher phosphorus and potassium. We go from the growth, so this I use from seedling stage to about 3-4 sets of leaves from seedling, germination, seed stage, and then on to flowering stage. I use the grow, and then I go to my Dynagrow Bloom. So this is a good system to work together. I bought all these products myself. Nobody sponsors this, I just try all these products myself, and it's just stuff that I like to share with you guys that has worked for me over the past 6 years in gardening. I've figured a lot out myself. So when I use my CalMag, I try to garden all organically as much as I can, so I only feed as necessary. And we're starting to get some blossom and drop, and I want to show you what that looks like on tomatoes and peppers, because that is the main plants we're getting it on. And it's normal to happen right now because we're in the blooming stage and fruiting vegetable stage, I should say. It's not a fruit, it's a vegetable. So we're in the vegetable stage, and you might notice some blooms dropping and stuff. So I usually treat with this product from Emerald Harvest, and it's a calcium magnesium supplement, and it just helps to give the calcium it needs at that point, because lack of calcium can cause blossom and rot. I've noticed over the last few years in gardening, especially at this stage. So I treat with 5 milliliters, which is 1 teaspoon, 1 full teaspoon of this per gallon of water. And that's all I use together in the soil. Now if you want, you can treat with Epsom salt and just throw compost on top of the soil that you've made yourself out in the garden. We've done that, and we're going to go outside and show you what we did. Alright you guys, so we're outside. We just stepped out in the garden, and this is the left side where my blueberries and blackberries, strawberries, sunflowers, flower garden, carrots, raspberry, watermelon, some kales down there, but everything's starting to flower and bloom right now, so they're gonna need some nutrients. Now I usually won't give that much nutrients. These are peppers. These are all peppers right here. So we have 4 plants. All right, we got 3 big ones that are starting to bloom and push out a lot of produce. You can see the blooms all over the place, and at this point you really want to start feeding. We have caterpillar damage. We've been treating for those, and you want to make sure these little blooms are not falling off and your peppers are not turning yellow. Do you see this pepper, how green it is on the bottom, and it's got like a yellowish on the top here? We do not want this falling off. So you'll notice like your little buds here will start turning yellow and just falling off by falling off by just a little bump right there, and that is no good. That means you are lacking calcium or something's going on like that. I've noticed that when this happens, I pump her with calcium, that CalMag supplement. These peppers just stock right up. They get greener. This whole plant gets greener, and look how dull this plant is, okay, compared to, and that's just starting to bloom, compared to this one. Look how green this is. So that is the difference. This is not lacking anything. Now you might have a plant that grows the same time out of the same packet, planted the same time. But you know what? One might not be lacking and the other might be. So, that just happens in the garden. It's so funky how one plant grows totally different than another. Look at this. Look how weird this is growing. See how weird the foliage is growing on this? This is, I notice when this happens, it's like a zinc deficiency, and also just nutrients in general. Some plants get funky looking. You can see how green that one in the back is compared to how dull looking and, light green the ones in the front are. Well, that is what your plants and produce should be looking like. That nice green color, new buds, not falling off. Nice green peppers with no yellowing on them. They're producing. We put fresh soil on the bottom, so it has our fresh homemade compost and some raised garden bed mix, which is like a mulchy type soil. You can see that. And I really like to use that out in the garden because it really helps. That is my fresh compost we laid on top. And all you want to do is put it on top, a little bit around the base, so I go a little around the plant and mix it in. So you want to always mix it in so you can incorporate that, get the weeds out of there, and then this way it can start sinking in that soil. Make sure your plants are very, very moist at this point. You know, you don't want them sopping wet, but you want them to be well watered, because your produce and stuff is made up mostly of water. So the less water you have, if you skip a watering or something, a few waterings, and the soil is really dry, it's gonna damage your plants. So I just watered everything really thoroughly this morning, and we're gonna mix this new compost soil we put in here from our garden. So I took just a handful of my compost, threw it in here, and put some raised garden bed mix on top, which is what you see here. It's really chunky, so when you water, it not only holds moisture in the ground, so I don't have to spend money on mulch and stuff. It not only holds moisture in the ground, but it also helps with giving nutrients and with watering with backsplash and stuff like that. We're going to go take a walk down to my tomatoes and kind of show you the blossom end rot going on down there. Nice snapdragons doing beautifully. We're going to show you at this stage what's starting to happen. Let me duck under my fence here. You can see we're starting to get blooms. Nice and healthy produce shooting out on it. You know, this is my cherry tomato. She's starting to bloom, and we have nice and healthy yellow blooms on her. Now, if this was blossom end rot, if we were getting blossom end rot, this branch right here, this flower stalk branch that it shoots out, will end up getting brown, and then your little flowers will be brown as well. They won't be yellow. We don't have that here. You know, we don't have blossom end rot going on here. We're pollinating, so all these pollinated already. We're just waiting on this last one, and that's how healthy your tomato flowers should be looking. Along with, you know, your tomatoes inside, you got to be checking that. Make sure you prune sucker branches you don't want. That's a little sucker branch. This is your main stalk. These sucker branches will turn into main stems, which in turn give you more flowers. We got more flowers up here, so look, this is blossom end rot, okay? We don't have them on those, but if you look back here, we have a few little flowers that are starting to turn a little bit brown that I see. Now, this either happens because you have blossom end rot, or because your tomato flower wasn't pollinated correctly. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for that, and it's not happening often. And if it is like this, I can tell we're getting a calcium deficiency here. Can you guys see how brown these flowers are? Doesn't really help that fence is dirty. See how brown they are compared to like here. See how healthy this is? We got nice tomatoes inside, we're pollinating, and we're doing good. See how healthy they look? That's what you need to be looking for. We got a whole vine pollinated right here. It's nice and healthy. And we're going to give some CalMag at this point anyway, because we have a lot of blooms pollinating, a lot of tomatoes. You want to make sure they're nice and green. And we're going to give some CalMag at that point because they're really ready. When they start blooming and taking off, which she is, these are first signs of fruiting. This is first signs of fruiting and vegetables right now. We've been getting flowers for a little while, a few weeks, and now we're starting to get blooms all over the place. This is my little beefsteak, and we have nice healthy tomato pollinations on here. See? Nice healthy growth. We got tomatoes growing over here. Nice and healthy. We got open foliage, which is really important, and lots of water at this point, you guys. And this is why open foliage is so important, because your tomatoes will end up cracking being on here for too long. See that? So we're going to pick this when it's ready and just utilize it for the seeds. It'll probably still be fine. I mean, it's only that little crack in there, and that happens when you're lacking water. So just make sure the water at this point you're feeding with lots and lots of water. You can see my other tomato. Oops, sorry you guys, I dropped you. Other tomatoes right down there doing really well. So you want to make sure you just give them lots of water, lots of soil to top off with. We just transplanted another tomato back there. And then this little guy is only getting fed. We're not going to top him off with any soil. We transplanted him with the soil he was in. And we're not going to feed him only but maybe once every few weeks right now. And veg state is most important for growth right now. You know, vegetation stage is really important. to have a really healthy blooming plant and lots of produce and foliage. So at this stage, I start feeding with a 1/4 teaspoon of my Dynagrow Grow nutrients, and then I feed all the way up. I switch it up to a 1/2 teaspoon once we get a little bit big and show some signs of great veg growth. And then when we get into that blooming, for signs of fruiting, I start feeding with CalMag and the bloom nutrients. And that is all going to depend on how much fertile soil is in the ground and how much nutrients your plant is going to need. Like I said, you know, you can have 2 plants that were planted the same way, taken care of the same way, and they're the same exact plant, but they might grow a little differently. So just remember that, and remember to tweak what you need for your garden, you know, what works for your area. I just love to show you what works for mine. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it just helps you to keep your garden healthy during the blooming and flowering stages. And we'll see you next time out in the garden. If you need any help, I'm always here, and I love to help you. It's what I do. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.